Creative Living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
Welcome to Creative Living today. We're going to learn how to use fabric markers. We'll talk about taking supplements and discuss PTSD and animals. One of my guests today is Shannon Bilkey, and she's going to show how to use Tulip's new fabric markers to decorate all sorts of items, including baby clothes, bags, t-shirts, and much more. Shannon's company is Shea & Company, and she's from Payson, Arizona. Another guest is an author and registered dietitian. Elizabeth Summers says that more than 1 out of every 2 adults are taking nutritional supplements, making them the most popped pills in America. Are we wasting our money? Elizabeth will explain as she talks about supplement savvy. She lives in Salem, Oregon. And we'll begin the show by talking to Matthew Festa, who is with Guardians of Rescue. Matthew's going to explain how animals who have been trained through a program called Animals Helping People can help anyone with post-traumatic stress disorder, especially military personnel. He's from Smithtown, New York. Matthew, thank you so much for being with us. I enjoyed reading the website about Guardians of Rescue, and I know that I feel very compassionate about trying to find animals. I've had dogs and I have cats, and I grew up on a farm, so we always had lots of animals around. But tell us briefly about what the Guardians of Rescue do and where all are you located?
We're based out of Long Island, New York. The Guardians of Rescue are about compassionate action when it comes to animal rights and welfare. Well, we go way out of our way to help people keep families together when they can't afford vet bills. We'll raise money for them. We try and educate children into the compassionate way of treating and dealing with animals. Basically trying to keep shelters from being overloaded. We do a lot of work with the military, bringing their dogs back from Afghanistan, and PTSD therapy dogs. Very important. Very important.
That's what I'd like to talk to you about. I've heard about, people getting permission in hospitals to take the patient's pet in and how much good it does. But I hadn't thought about the military aspect of it. How did you get involved in that part of it?
We actually got a phone call from a woman whose brother was a Green Beret in Afghanistan, and while on patrol, they found 2 puppies, and they snuck them back on base, and they just. From what it's a consensus among the soldiers we've helped that the dogs are their apple pie. They remind them that somewhere in the world, life still has a value and love still has a place in the order of things. When they get either redeployed or when the dogs get found out because they're not allowed to have non-military pets on base, the options are very limited. You're in a war zone. It's basically euthanize the dog is usually the outcome. We work with the only animal shelter in Afghanistan. It's run by a Royal Marine Commando named Penn Farthing. He expatriated to Afghanistan after his tour of duty was up from the Royal Marine Commandos to start this shelter.
Because he saw the need for it.
Yeah, how important the dogs were to his boys. So now he takes all the allied dogs. If you can get the dog to Nowzad, he will keep that dog alive and do his best to get it back to the States. So we put it out, like Guardians of Rescue is all volunteer, and we rely completely on donations to do what we're doing. So we put it out to our friends and fans. This is what we want to do. We want to get these dogs back for these guys. And people, NASCAR teams have come out to help us bring these dogs back. We actually got Trigger was the dog. He was an Afghan Coochie Hound, about 70 pounds at 7 months old. Big boy, yeah. We flew him from Qatar to Kennedy Airport. We held him for a couple of months while his human cycled back to the world, which wound up being Fort Lewis.
So they have an adjustment period too, just like people.
Well, a lot of times special forces, they take a little bit longer to cycle out from their tour of duty to go back to the world. Like they go from Afghanistan to Germany to Texas, then back to Seattle. So while they were doing that, we held the boy and we hung out with him, and then we reunited him. And when that dog saw his human, I mean, those 2 guys, and you talk about a Green
Great
Beret.
reunion.
Yeah, it was definitely a magnificent moment.
Well, what about those, and we always think of military primarily, that come back with the PTSD, the post-traumatic stress syndrome, but it's not just military people. It could be any of us who've had maybe a tragedy in our life or some life-changing event.
Well, being a New Yorker, I mean, the events of 9/11
Yeah,
that
that brought it to our attention, didn't it?
Yeah, that really shocked a lot of people. And you know, when you're in the military, not that it lessens the blow of seeing something horrible, but you're taught you're gonna see something horrible, and you're gonna go to war. You know, an iron worker in New York, he goes to work one day, and the next thing you know, he's in war. So.
Right. But how do you train a dog differently to be positioned with someone that is suffering maybe from PTSD rather than just maybe if I adopted one?
Well, you temperament test the animal. You look at them. Some dogs are a little more aggressive. Some dogs are a little more compassionate, a little more mushy, and you nurture that part of the animal. What's unique about these dogs from Afghanistan is when the soldiers save them, they're little puppies, and they grow up with soldiers. So at night when they come home from combat and they're going through that immediate soldier stress of the combat that they endured that day, that puppy grows up custom attuned to assuaging that specific soldier stress. So a lot of times these guys will have many years left on their hitch. They're going around the world. So to keep the dog in foster for years it's unfair to the dog. We'll find other soldiers who are done with their deployment, done with their tour, adopt the dog to them anywhere in the nation. We actually had 2 dogs. One went to Hawaii, one went to Texas last week. And then we can show the soldiers that saved the dog a picture of their battle buddy at home on green grass with the soldier, his wife and his kids, living the life they always wanted for that dog. And just for them to know that their buddy that got him through all those rough nights in combat is with a brother soldier and safe and is going to finish his life with the American dream, it's really, it's what the Guardians are all about.
Well, yeah, you bet. And I understand that if left untreated, people who suffer from PTSD can suffer lots of things, maybe from alcoholism to severe depression, but somehow these animals can prevent that from happening.
A Green Beret from Vietnam, a gentleman named Tony, severe PTSD. The poor guy is really suffering. He adopted a dog that we sprung from the shelter. I saw this beautiful American Bull Terrier, and she just wasn't doing well in the shelter. We took her out, we assessed her. She was a wonderful dog. She relieves him from that stress. When he starts going through that picture in his mind over and over again, she'll touch her nose against his hand and snap him out of it.
Really?
Yeah, and his trips to the VA hospital have decreased considerably. Just to have that pure love, that pure compassion, that non-judgmental animal right there, and they know, they're custom attuned. They see you starting to go into that mental loop, and she will break him out of it. She will come over and push up against him.
I was going to ask you, how do they do it? How are they trained to do that?
Well,
they just sense it.
Yeah, they sense it. They love their person, they love their human, and when they see their human starting to go through that stress, their face starts to twitch, she comes right over and starts pushing on them and rubbing and,
Yeah, you're important.
Yeah.
You mentioned the veterans hospitals. Are these dogs then allowed to go when the person has a checkup or has an appointment?
We have programs where we try and take the dogs and work them through to get actually therapy certified. We're working with a couple of veterans. We've adopted out over 24 dogs that we've gotten from Afghanistan to soldiers. And most of these guys, they're combat veterans. They've been through a lot of really, really difficult situations. They see the help the dog gives them, and they want to share that with their brethren. So we have programs where we actually go through the motions to get the dogs certified so that legally they can be brought into hospitals and they can continue the therapy. So when they go to group sessions, they can spread that joy with the rest of their brethren.
So there is a process that a person has to go through before they can't just take any dog they want to into a hospital for an appointment. That's amazing. Well, it's wonderful the things that you're doing. People can go to your website, guardiansofrescue.org, O-R-G, and maybe set up a group in their own local community, or if they feel so compelled, I'm sure you could tell them how to help you.
Absolutely, and if anybody out there knows any soldiers, any service personnel that need help like this, the biggest thing is they don't know we're here to help them.
No.
And to teach them about the Nowzad shelter in Afghanistan, that we are bringing these dogs back, that any of their friends that have a dog over there, so if they go to guardiansofrescue.org and check us out, we can tell them exactly how to go about getting their dog back from Afghanistan.
Yeah, because I had never heard of the organization, and you're on Facebook too, so people can find you, and that's the important thing, to educate everyone.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Matthew. I've
Thank you for
enjoyed
having me.
talking to you.
Always a pleasure.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here today. We're going to obviously talk about supplements, but I have always heard that it's better to get your nutrition from food rather than pills.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is true still.
Absolutely. Anybody worth their weight in nutrition credentials will tell you to go to food first. So what you need to eat is at least 8 to 10 colorful fruits and vegetables every day, at least 5 servings of whole grains, 2 to 3 servings of a calcium-rich milk or fortified soy milk or orange juice, and then finally a couple servings of protein-rich, lean protein-rich, and then twice a week some fatty fish. Well, guess what?
We just don't get it in.
Nobody's eating that. Every national nutrition survey going back to the 1960s has repeatedly and consistently found that Americans' diets are low in everything from vitamin A to zinc. Children's diets are just as lacking. So on the, I mean, I'm still you absolutely eat well, but on the days when you don't, take a supplement.
Don't feel guilty.
Don't
Take
feel
a supplement.
guilty.
That's better than nothing, isn't
Right.
it? But I understand that a lot of the same reports say that the supplements don't help us prevent heart attacks or cancer or some of these other tragic diseases as well as nutrition does, good nutrition.
There, especially in recent months, have been quite a few studies showing that you're right. They don't prevent a second heart attack if you've already had one, or maybe they don't prevent cancer or even dementia down the road. But let's put this in perspective for a minute. You know, if I told you there was a study that showed that drinking water didn't lower your risk for cancer, would you quit drinking water?
No, certainly not.
Of course not.
That's a good
Or
analogy.
If you found that a study that said that, you know, if you got your adequate amount of protein, it didn't lower your risk for heart disease, you wouldn't eliminate protein out of the diet. These are essential nutrients. Your body can't make them. You need them every single day. Well, it's the same for the vitamins and the minerals. Your body, except for vitamin D, can't make these nutrients. And so you got to get them from the diet, and as I've already mentioned, we're not. So again, just it makes sense.
It makes good sense. But is there can you overdose on any of these essential vitamins and minerals?
Yes, you can. You know,
So you need to take what the label instructions say.
Yes, and don't get carried away. But you can overdose on water if you drink too much of it. So you really need to look at this. Of course, these supplements aren't going to prevent cancer. It's not like you can eat a really bad diet, pop a pill, and tootle your way down the road. It's part of a whole lifestyle. Eating well, taking the supplements, like we'll talk about in a minute, getting enough sleep, not smoking, of course, exercising every day. It's part of a whole package that we absolutely know, based on millions of studies, will lower your risk for all diseases, help you live longer, stretch out those healthy years, help you manage your weight, think better, and this goes for children all the way up through adults. So it's part of a whole package that is important that we know does work.
And it's never too late to start.
And it's never too late to start, but the sooner you start, the better.
Of course. But I don't know about you, well, you probably have gone through this many times, but when I walk into a drugstore and see that whole wall of pills and vitamins and all, I never know what to look for.
Oh, I know.
And there's different brands. Okay, is every brand the same? How do you suggest people do that?
I know, it's
expensive.
It's overwhelming, and I think people tend to think, well, if it's more expensive, it must be better, and that's definitely not the case. In fact, you shouldn't spend more than just a few dollars a month on your supplements. The first thing you want to do is get a moderate dose, broad range multi. One that supplies, turn the label over and look at it. The daily value shouldn't be any more than about 100 to 300% of the daily value. You don't want a supplement that supplies 2,000% of one nutrient and 1% of another. These nutrients work as a team, and you want to provide them as a team, and the best team we know is the daily value. So a broad range, moderate dose, I really emphasize moderate, that's where to start.
Good, okay.
Okay. Second thing is, unless you're drinking 3 to 4 glasses of milk or fortified calcium, soy milk or orange juice a day, if you're not drinking enough or eating enough magnesium-rich foods, which 3 out of 4 Americans aren't, those are dark green leafy vegetables, nuts, legumes, and other whole grains, then a calcium magnesium pill is a good idea to supplement your supplement.
Oh, now I've not heard of that together, so calcium, magnesium.
Calcium and magnesium. You will have a little bit of calcium in the Centrum or the Nature Made or any of the broad range supplements, but they don't have enough because the pill would be the size of a golf ball. You need so much magnesium and calcium. So, and you don't need to get all of your calcium and magnesium from a pill because you're getting some from your diet. So 500 milligrams calcium, 250 milligrams magnesium is fine. And a word of warning here about magnesium. It's the active ingredient in milk of magnesia.
Oh, that tells us what it might do.
That tells you exactly. So if you
Okay.
overdose on magnesium, you're going to spend all those healthy moments in the bathroom instead of out there having a good time.
So that's one we certainly don't want to overdose on.
Don't want to overdose on magnesium,
Okay.
but a CalMag. And then the third one is because we have so much research on the omega-3, especially the omega-3 DHA, not only lowering your risk for depression and dementia, but heart disease. Now there's some excellent research coming out about it helping to protect the brain from concussion. If you don't get 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish, mackerel, herring, sardines, anchovies.
And not all fish is the same.
Not all fish, you're absolutely right. Tilapia doesn't count. It's got a fat profile closer to beef than it does salmon. So anyway, if you're not getting a lot of fatty fish in your diet, then taking an omega-3 DHA supplement is a good idea. You want at least 220 milligrams of that DHA.
A day, 220 a day.
Or if you're taking a fish oil capsule, which is fine, make sure it has at least 1,000 milligrams of a combination of the omega-3s, EPA, and DHA.
Okay.
So we've got the multi, we got the CalMag, calcium, magnesium, and the DHA. You might want to think about an eye supplement for lutein. We now know that that particular compound found in dark green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale, collards, broccoli is important for protecting the eyes from vision loss associated with like macular degeneration or cataracts. So look for lutein. And then the final one is vitamin D. If your multi doesn't have enough vitamin D in it.
And how much should we be getting?
Kids should be getting around 400 units of vitamin D. That's the amount you'd get in 4 glasses of milk. But if you don't get that, then you look for a supplement. Adults, really this one you should have your blood tested for vitamin D, and if you're low, they'll put you on huge amounts to get it back up again. But a routine maintenance dose of about 1,000 units is a good idea for vitamin D. So if your multi doesn't have enough of that, then take an extra vitamin D. This whole supplement program won't cost you more than just a few dollars a month.
Well, that's basically 4 pills that you've told us that we can, for our supplements that we need.
Right.
So we're just throwing money away if we buy things we don't need, or like you say, look for the most expensive brand and expect it to do better.
Exactly. You know, the natural supplements or our supplements come from real foods. That's all just hype. You know, what you can guarantee is if you buy from a reputable large company like Centrum or Nature Made, or get a product that has the USP seal, USP. That guarantees that what they say is on the label is actually in the pill. Yes.
Well, that's great to know. Would you suggest that people, well, and certainly your book is a great reference, but if people are not taking supplements yet, is there a resource that they could go to that maybe would explain all this that you just went over?
Well, every one of my books has all this information in it. The beautifulminds.com, beautiful-minds.com will have information on how to eat well as how to supplement to keep your brain healthy. And of course, we're one big package. So whatever you're doing to keep your brain healthy will help your heart and the rest of you too.
Well, it's really, it's not as complicated as sometimes looking at that wall of items makes it seem. And it's so important. Start early, start with your children. And I understand that it's especially important for parents whose children are going to play sports, because keeping the body healthy can prevent so many accidents.
Actually, my kids have been I've had them on supplements since the time they were tiny. Just because, again, you just got to fill in the gaps. And I want to emphasize that they're called supplements, like we said before, not substitutes. Your
That's
kids
important.
And you still need to eat really well, but this will just fill in the gaps.
That's a good way to look at it. Well, thank you so much for being with us today,
My
Elizabeth.
pleasure.
Shannon, it's great to have you here. And when you said we were going to talk about fabric painting and using markers, I thought, well, we've done that before, but hasn't it come a long way from the first fabric painting that we used to do?
Oh, absolutely. And these are markers. You can get them in fine tips, and you can get them in really fat tips. Kids like them too. But these have been washed and the color is just as vivid as the day I made them.
And you do want to, as I remember, you do want to wash the garment or the whatever you're making to get the sizing out. Is that right?
But these have been washed since I painted them. Yes.
Yeah, and the
So-
colors have remained
Right,
beautiful.
and the colors, they make them, they try. I would think they'd eventually fade a little bit, but they haven't. I was quite pleased with them.
Your granddaughter will outgrow this before it fades, I think. And you can do
guess her name?
freehand. Fiona May, I bet.
Yeah, see, now I did these freehand, and this one I had, this is just
stencil?
freehand. I just wrote her name and then colored it in the way I felt like. You know, because I just like the colors.
I do too. And you said her shower and everything was
Her baby
in
shower.
baby
Yeah.
shower.
Now
was in
this is not a stencil. This is one of the drawings that I did, and I just put the drawing on my little light table, put that on top
and
of
made
it.
a
Right, and just drew over
pattern.
it. Right, you
Yeah,
just draw
good
on the
idea.
surface. With these pins, you find that on t-shirt material, it's a little bit more controlled work than this kind of canvas. You can just color on it. You can just draw on it.
This is just muslin or something,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes. These are bags.
twill.
Right. But people that don't want to freehand or don't think they can, which I suggest they try, you can use stencils. And stencils work beautifully. You just draw, you just trace carefully. With the t-shirt material,
It's a knit, whereas
it's a
this
knit,
is a
and you have
woven.
to go in the same direction, and you just keep going. You just, it bleeds just a little bit, so it blends into itself. You can see that. With the t-shirt material, it's going to pull a little bit, so you just have to keep going in the same direction. With the stencil, it's very easy. Just draw.
See, I would love this because I doodle
See
all
how
the
it
time.
bleeds a little bit? And what I like to do is what I call seat work. And I'll get all the outlines done, and then I'll sit there in front of the TV because I've lost the fine art of just watching TV. I have to be doing something.
I do too.
So then I will get this work done. I'll say trace the
name
all-
or whatever.
Right. And then I'll go and sit there and color it. You know. This is very simple. You can blend colors a little. The colors dry pretty fast, so you can't blend a lot. And these colors I found are darker, more vivid, which is not a complaint, but more vivid than the color.
It does.
Yeah, like the purple is definitely darker. This purple is so dark you can hardly see it, and it looks this very light purple.
And the orange is real, almost neon.
See, this looks like it should be. You just have to play with these first, not to trust the colors, but the neons are beautiful and vivid and bright. And these would be wonderful for a team. Say you have a team of, I coach soccer kids. We did our own shirts. Everybody
sure.
did their own shirts. And you can do hats, and you can custom make these as you go from day to day. It's really a lot of fun. Quick and easy. Kids in class can use them.
And after it's painted, you just simply let it set there. You don't have to run it through a process or anything.
No,
just
no.
let it dry completely and then wear it.
And it doesn't take long at all. Right, it doesn't take long at all. But the Tulip has made these and these others that are big and fat, and you could outline with pretty color, and then you could fill it in
Use
with
the
a
fat one.
Right.
That's a good idea and would go a lot faster.
Right, and if you find with the little detail work, you'd need the fine ones. And I think most people don't tend to want to go with just the detail work. You know, you just want big fat letters or something like that.
Yeah.
It would make fun. You can make zebra stripes, make it zebra for Halloween kind of shirt.
Or
you know.
whatever your team, if it's a dragon or something,
Right.
you could color those in
Or
easily.
Fiona probably needs ladybugs on everything.
Probably. I
Yes.
think so. Well, thank you so much for
You're
showing us
very
kind
welcome.
of what's new in fabric painting. And
Yes.
they make improvements all the time.
And it makes it so easy for everybody to try. You know, not just the people that think they're crafty, but the people that need to
never
figure out
tried
that
it.
they can do it too. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll see some fun sewing projects for kids to do. We'll learn how to make candy melt cupcake toppers and show some glittery home decor items. One of my next guests is a creative director and designer, and she'll demonstrate a variety of projects and patterns that are easy for kids to do as parents help them learn to sew. Another guest is going to demonstrate how to use candy melts as cupcake toppers. This is such an easy technique, yet it gives one more use for delicious candy melt candies. And we'll talk to the president of Art Institute Glitter Incorporated, and she's going to show how to use various glitter products to decorate plates, ornaments, books, candles, candle holder, even tissue boxes. All of these topics will be featured on the next Creative Living show. If you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at cheryl.borden@enmu.edu. And I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much. I hope you'll join me next time for Creative Living.
We are very pleased to offer you a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6900 Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information, and it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet, or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this new booklet, go to our website at kenw.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on this booklet or on any of the other booklets that we have available online. We also would like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just go to kenw.org and click on the Sign Up Now button. Thank you.